Also, I'm constantly in dealerships where, here's how many cars we sold, here's what we averaged, and then here's our CSI score. And then your factories use that CSI score with bonuses and everything else, which is a problem because if they graded it right, wouldn't be an issue. They just changed the Kias, but Kia's survey was so complicated, I would have failed my own dealer if I was looking at it. Okay, that's a problem when that happens. At Infinity, you think yours is bad? Do you have premium Wi-Fi or regular Wi-Fi in your service department? If it's not premium Wi-Fi, they fail. Does anybody in here know the difference? No. Did your computer work? Yeah, premium. Was in F&I, was it a large office or small office? Well, if this is my office, it's a pretty large office. Well, then if I cut this in half, but this is my perception, well, then now it would be a small office, even though we could all walk around and sit in there. But they'll fail if it's a small office. And what happens is the factories use those scores for money that can come to you. Sometimes they use it for allocation, and then they put you on probation. It's a problem. I don't like the system, but it is what it is. So you got to work within it. On the other side, we spend all this time getting these factory surveys and everything else, but none of those really benefit your dealer other than the bonuses. Here's what benefits you: Google reviews. If you had as many Google reviews as you had the factory surveys filled out, you'd be number one in Google searches and everything else. But we don't have them. We're all focused on this. Okay? So talk about the Google reviews later, but the factory survey, here's my goal. I want to make sure my customer was treated the right way, taken care of, had a good experience. I also want them to understand how the factory surveys are graded so they can give an honest answer. And then I want them to tell me if they can't give you an A on everything, because it gives me a chance to fix that before they leave. I don't want them venting and fixing it when they fill out the survey. I've had, I'll use Infinity here. I've had a person, one of your salespeople one time, experienced salespeople, training somebody, sells a car to the trainee's dad, gets the survey, and it gives him all 7s and 8s. But it's his dad, he had a happy time, but he's thinking of nothing's a 10, I didn't get the car for free, give him all 7 and 8. Cost the salesperson $5,000 in bonuses because of the spends. Were you there for that? And then they had to call Infinity to get it all changed. But that's the livelihood of your salesperson, And what is the biggest thing you guys get whacked with or yelled at in meetings about CSI for an F&I world? Time. Because in the customer's mind, time starts when they walk in the door. It's not your office or anything that happened before, but you get penalized for that. I have some dealers that have CSIs tied to their pay plan. Higher CSI, the better. Now, the thing is, we started doing this a few years ago at a, and they ended up getting their per car jumped $400 doing the system, and they became the number 3rd CSI store in the country. And the first 2 were littler stores, smaller stores. So it works. So here's the thing. Who here knows what's on their factory survey, first of all? You need to know how it's graded. So Maggie's store is 1 to 10?
It's also yes or no.
Okay. So the 1 to 10 and yes and no. So you know the yes and no. The 1 to 10, the way you describe it is, how do most people see any survey they're filling out? Where do they go back to in their mind as far as a grading scale and how they work? School. A, B, C, D, and F. So if you have a 1 through 10, most people out there looking at it go, 9, 10's an A, 7, 8's a B, and C, D, and F. But a 9's an F, okay? Which is BS. If it was a 90%, it'd be a different thing. You wouldn't have to have this. But it's an F. You have, I think on the Ford, it says excellent, good, satisfied, or somewhat satisfied, satisfied, somewhat dissatisfied. Dissatisfied. It's I could argue those. Just the names of them. I don't know if I'm somewhat dissatisfied or really just dissatisfied. I don't know. If you're not happy, I guess you're dissatisfied. But those are the questions. And if you don't get excellent, you fail. So you need to know what they are. So I'm at your store, I got the 1 to 10. So here's the conversation. It is not about you. Okay, it's really important to get. It's not about allocation. It's not about bonuses for the store. It's not about any of that. It's about making sure the customer had a great experience and then educating that customer on how it's graded. Okay, so next transition is factory survey. And if Pax is my customer, I go, hey Pax, when you're working with Caleb, Did he happen to go over the factory survey that Honda's going to send you in the mail or email in the next few days?
Did not.
Okay. Doesn't matter what the question or the answer is. Yes, he did. Very thorough. No, he didn't at all. Still going to do the same thing. Right? Well, okay, great. Well, Honda's going to send you a survey through email, and it's going to ask you a bunch of questions like, did Caleb treat you nice? Did we get you all the information you wanted? Did I treat you kindly? Do we have a nice facility? Were you happy with all the information you got? Just a bunch of questions on how we did. And when you get it, you'll have a scale from 1 to 10. 10 obviously being you're the most satisfied, and 1 being you're really upset. Well, what most people and customers come in and they look at it like a report card, like, this will be an A, then B, C, D, and F. Well, the way we're graded is a 10's an A, a 9, anything under is an F. So I just want you to know that when you grade it. And the question I have for you today, is there any reason you couldn't give us all 10s on the survey?